it. Okay, here we go. Shalom. Oh, thank you, Azzy. So, for those who are new, we say shalom at the beginning of the service because shalom means peace be with you. And I want God's peace in your life. And what you do is you say shalom back to me, and then I get all of your peace. But no, it's a tradition right here. So, let's try again. Shalom.
Shalom.
It's better. This side didn't speak up at all. Okay, so here's the reality. Y'all as teens go through so much more than any teen that has ever existed. Any teen throughout history has dealt with all the things that you deal with. Y'all got so many things on you, and it can be exhausting. It can cause stress. You can feel overwhelmed. And so many people, teens and adults, but so many people are just done. They're so done with it. They're like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. They're done with the pain. They're done with the hurt. And they're finished. And they give up. And the reality is that I understand those feelings are true. But tonight we've been in this series called Lazy Dayz, and what it's all about is the fact that the people who are exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed are called to come to God when they feel weary. We're going to talk about that and get deeper into it. Dear God, I thank you for a day. I thank you for all these students. I thank you for what you're doing in their lives. Thank you for bringing them here tonight. God, I pray that they hear you. In the silence, despite the noise, we want to hear you. We want your spirit to fall tonight. In your name. Alright, so real quick, how many of y'all would say y'all usually get a good amount of sleep, like at night? How many of y'all would instead feel like you get like so little sleep? Couple y'all, more of y'all? And real quick, for those who feel like you don't get enough sleep, can I ask you, what's why? Raise your hand. Why don't you? Why? You're on your phone? Why don't you get enough sleep?
Because you sleep during the day.
Because you sleep during the day. Okay, yeah. Why? TV, very nice. I would watch TV till the cows came home. Anything else? Lots of stuff. Now, here's the thing. Y'all, and what's crazy is that science says that teens, actually, your body needs the most amount of sleep. When you're older, you don't need that much sleep, but the older people get too much sleep and the young people get too little sleep. It's ridiculous. But how many of y'all, because y'all don't get enough sleep, how many of y'all like or take naps? A couple of y'all, and a couple of y'all be lying. Because how many of y'all ever fallen asleep during a class? You napping, I know you are. Guys, I was the worst. I napped through so many classes. My friends hated me because I passed all my classes and napped through them all. But no, and napping is so nice. But how many of y'all know that napping can be dangerous? How many of you ever fallen asleep next to your friends while they're awake? And they just start writing stuff on you, messing with you, all that stuff. Now, so napping can be dangerous. But tonight, we're going to actually talk about how napping is biblical. In good and bad ways. So guys, there was this guy named Elijah. Not ours. Elijah was a prophet in the Old Testament. And he was going around because people of Israel, God's people, baby, God's people were living in the kingdom and they were doing horrible things. They were sacrificing children. They were worshiping other gods. They were doing horrible things. And Elijah pretty much went and called them out. He said, guys, this is wrong. Stop. God does not approve. This is not okay. And the king and the queen at that time were very bad. And the queen was so mad, the queen sent a death threat. Pretty much like, she essentially got this guy, said, hey, tell Elijah this. If he's not dead by the next day and his bones rotting, let there be a curse on me, because I'm going to kill him. And she sent that. He got the message. And what do you think he did? He ran. That guy bolted. He was like, nah. And he ran, he got out of town, and he was running for like 2 to 3 days. Until the one moment, whenever he like kind of fell down and he started to cry out to God. He said, "Dear God, this is ridiculous. This is dumb. I'm being chased to be murdered. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. God, I'm done with this. It would have been better if I'd never been born. It would have been better if I was dead right now than dealing with this prayer." And we see that's not the verse, but this is the verse, 1 Kings 19:5. What happened after that is this. In 1 Kings 19:5, then Elijah, laid down and slept under the broom tree. But as he was sleeping, an angel touched him and told him to get up and eat. And the thing is, God had provided food for him right there. And Elijah got up, he ate, and then he went back to sleep. And then he got up, and he was good. Guys, it is biblical that a nap time and snack time will help you. And that's all I do. This guy was ridiculous. He's freaking out, going through so much. And God simply said, chill out, have a snack, have a fruit roll-up, and take a nap, okay? And he did, and he felt way better afterwards. Now, Corbin, I don't want this to minimize actual mental stress, because it's a real thing. And I don't want to minimize the realities that you may be. And it's not saying nap time will fix everything or snack time, but it is saying that our bodies need balance. If we're overworking our bodies, we need to make sure we're taking care of our bodies. Some of y'all be so tired. Like, I get students on Sunday mornings who are like, I can't make it to Sunday morning. I'm exhausted. I'm like, did you go to sleep? I'm like, 4 a.m. I'm like, okay, I wonder why you're sleeping. There are people, all people need balance in their lives. All of us, we need balance. So if we're exhausted and using our strength, we need to make sure we're resting and replenishing. Eyes on me, guys. And here's the thing. This isn't a lesson where you can go and tell your mom, it's okay, I can nap all day. Pastor Aaron said I can. It's okay. Because the guy, Caesar, I'm going to split y'all up if I have to stop calling y'all again. So I'm calling y'all again, I'm splitting up, so please stop talking. God's not telling us to not listen or not to do anything or just sleep all day. He actually, multiple times in the Bible says against laziness. One of my ones that I like is in Proverbs 6:9. It says this specifically. It says, "But you lazy bones," where are you, Luis? Where are you? He's just there. He just, lazy bones. No. "But you lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up?" Because it's ridiculous how much you're sleeping. He's not, it's take a nap, take a rest. Know your body and create balance. But it's not saying to sleep all day. But napping can be good. You need to know your body. Ladies, gentlemen, y'all need to know your body and know whenever you need to rest and when you need to wake up. When you need to stop for a moment and put stuff down, and when you need to get things going. It's a biblical thing that's what we're meant to do, and that's going to shape your life. Because so many of you are going through so much. Guys, literally the world is basically on fire. It's basically on fire. And y'all are living in it. Like some small things. There's wars going on. There's famine. There's wildfires. And there's slavery among the whole world, including the U.S. And just those small things. But for you guys, you might face bigger things personally in your life. Y'all got school to worry about. Y'all got, which is not a small thing. Y'all got relationships and broken relationships to deal with. Y'all got substance abuse. Y'all deal with addictions. Y'all got to deal with death and loss of loved ones. Y'all deal with self-harm and depression and verbal, physical, and sexual abuse. Your world might be on fire. So where and how are you supposed to find rest and balance? How is that supposed to work for you? How do you deal with it? Another term we're going to use is that it's a storm. The reality of this world is a storm. It's loud, the waves are high, the lightning's cracking, there's thunder, it's terrible, all the stuff that's going on around you. What are you supposed to do? Well, I'm going to tell you 3 stories about some people who are going through storms and how they dealt with it, and each one includes napping. Woo. So one guy, his name was Samson, and Samson's backstory basically is this. God said, hey, all I want you to do is don't touch dead things, don't drink wine, and don't cut your hair, and that's right, you'll have strength. That's basically it. And he had like superhuman strength. It was really weird. And he was so full of it. He relied on his own strength, and he did all 3 of those things. He did the things that God's like, hey, just don't do these, and I'll give you strength. But he relied on his own strength. And he upset this whole people called the Philistines. He had killed a lot of them, burned their stuff. And instead of like, okay, maybe back up, he actually started dating one of them. And he's dating one of the Philistines, and he's over there hanging out with her, and he starts taking, this lady, the Philistines come and say, hey, I'll pay you to find out his secret that we can figure out. And she like works on him and finds out that the secret is like, the last thing he has to do is cut his hair and then he loses his strength. But he's so confident that his strength is his, he's like, it don't matter. He takes a nap. She cuts his hair off. Guess what happens? He lost all of his strength. He was in the middle of the storm. He was napping during the storm in a place where he shouldn't be. And he ignored his issues and relied on his own strength. It didn't work out. He lost everything, including his eyeballs, fun fact. It was horrible, this what he got. He was going through the storm and he napped, but he was relying on his own strength and ignored the issues. So the first thing for you guys, if you're going through trouble, I'm not asking you to ignore that it's there. Identify it, realize it, call it out for what it is. Second guy's named Jonah. You might have heard his story. But Jonah basically is this. He's a prophet. He's a preacher going out there. And God says, hey, I want you to preach in that town. And he's like, okay, not going to do that. I hate those guys. And so God said, go this way. And Jonah was like, nah, I'm going this way. And he left. And he got on a boat. And he sailed away. And guess what he did? He took a nap. And he was napping at the bottom of the boat, and then a physical storm, hit the boat, rocking, shaking. All the sailors are scared to death. The captain goes down and wakes up the guys like, dude, how can you sleep? We about to die out here. Call on your God so he can maybe help us. And he actually gets out, and he doesn't actually call on God. He doesn't rely on his strength. He actually says, you know what? It'd be better if I was dead. Because, if I die, I don't have to go preach to those people. So why don't you guys just throw me off the boat? And they're like, okay, if you ask. And they're like, it doesn't matter. And they toss him, and he's like, yay, I'm gonna die. And he gets tossed in the boat, and the storm calms down immediately. Thankfully, thanks to God, he didn't die. And God worked through him to save a whole community. But he faced struggles in the storm and the issues. He not only napped, but he ran away from his issues. And whenever he ran away, it was confronted again. He didn't say, yes, let's deal with it now. Let God, I trust you. Instead, he said, done with it. I'm done. End my life. I'm done. I don't want to deal with this pressure anymore. And that's how he got it. The last guy. You might know this guy's name is Jesus. Kind of a big deal. Jesus was with his disciples, and they were hanging out, and they went and they got on a boat. Again, just like a boat. They get on the boat, and y'all know what Jesus does? Takes a nap. I'm so proud of you. Jesus gets in the back of the boat, out, and get in a storm. And the waves are high. The thunder is loud, the lightning is sharp. the disciples are terrified. And we see this in Mark 4:37-40. It says this. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat and began to fill it with water. You can go to the next one. Thanks. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion, just enjoying life. The disciples woke him up, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the water, "Silence, be still." Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" So he's going through a lot. There's a physical storm there, and the people around him are terrified. And though it's dangerous, he doesn't wake up, freak out. He's in a dangerous situation, but he doesn't wake up and freak out. He doesn't run away. He doesn't try to ignore the issue. He actually wakes up and he calls it out. And you know why it's different for him? I honestly believe if Jonah woke up, got up and said, "God, I ask you to calm the storm," it would have been done right there. But Jesus did it, and the reason why it worked for him is because he was sourced and filled and connected to God. He was rested in his presence. Not just because he was napping. Napping doesn't fix all things, but he was in a balance in a relationship with God that whenever he called out the wind and waves, they listened. And so to you guys and to me, you're losing sleep. Maybe some of y'all aren't not sleeping because of video games or your phone, but maybe you're not sleeping because you're full of anxiety. Maybe you're not falling asleep because you know the hurt that's happened. You're still focused on that thing that happened to you. You're still focused on the relationships that's broken. You're still focused on things, and you just can't fall asleep because you're just sitting there worrying. And you don't know what to do. Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? A lot of our rest, a lot of our weariness, a lot of our stuff comes because we're not connected to Him. We're on this lazy days, we're talking about 5 different ways that we're called to rest. The first is this. First is to unplug. The second was to look at creation. Today, we're talking about getting sleep and spending time with God. Getting sleep and finding balance and trusting Him with your worries is in balance of your physical body. But it's not just that. It's also your emotional. Are you trusting in Him with what's going on? And we find that when we spend time with God. So back to Elijah, okay? Elijah, right after he had his snack and nap, and he woke up, nap time was over, he got up and he went, God told him to go to this mountain. And he went to the mountain and God said, my presence is going to fall on the mountain. And he's like, okay. And an earthquake hit the mountain, but God wasn't in the earthquake. And a fire came and it torched and scorched the entire side of the mountain. God wasn't in the fire. And then a wind, a West Texas wind, came and blew and shook the mountain. God wasn't in the wind. And then there was silence. And God's presence was in the silence. We're called to spend time with God. And we know that He's not in all the noise. He's not in all the distractions. He's not in all the different stuff. God's going to be with you in the silence. And as teens, I know y'all don't have that. Y'all very rarely have silence. Silence freaks me out. I feel like something's wrong. I always want to put some music on while I'm driving or if I'm working. I gotta have some noise. We're not used to silence. But the reality is God speaks. God can speak in any way. He can speak through the storm, whatever, but God so many times speaks through the silence. And the thing is, what it means is that if you're quiet enough to listen, you might actually hear. Because we're not just meant to find balance with our bodies. If we stay awake, we need sleep. If we're working hard, we need sleep. We also know if we're going through a lot, we need to spend time with Him. Jesus was able to face the storm, face the fire, because He was sourced by God. Yes, I know the air conditioning fire. But he was able to face all of it because he was sourced by him. And guys, there's basic ways. There's basic ways that you can encounter God. And I'm telling you, these aren't the only ways. There's so many ways. But some of the basic ones are this. Read his word. Guys, I'm going to give these two of these out. This is a life Jesus. This is just a little book that tells you about who Jesus is. If you want to find peace and help, you want to get closer to him, read this. Or read your Bible. I have an app. It's amazing. It helps me go through the Bible and encounter him in new ways. Read the scripture. Another is prayer. Spend time talking with God. Spend time talking, communicating with him. Because the reality is that God's not going to force himself in your life, but if you're like, say, God, and just like Jonah, he didn't force himself into a situation. But if we come and we say, God, this is my storm, this is my issue, this is my problems, God's going to be there with you. He might not just take them all away, but he's going to be with you, and he's going to help you through the storm. And it's only when you come to him. And this last thing is this, is silence. Everyone, eyes on me? Almost done. Y'all need to take time to be silent. Next, y'all got 6 days. 6 days before about 8 hours of your day is going to be full of noise. No matter what, it's going to be full of noise. It's so important for y'all to take time to be quiet. To take moments to be silent. And it's important for y'all to rest. Y'all got 6 days, take a nap if you need it. Don't become lazy bones, but take a nap if you need it. Rest your body and rest your spirit. So that whenever you wake up and the storm is there, you're able to speak to it and call it out. Next week, we're going to finish this series on lazy days and all this stuff. But I really want y'all to get this. The ways, if you're dealing with all that stuff, if you're dealing with that abuse, if you're dealing with that harm, if you're dealing with those hurt, and the storm is around you, the fire is burning, if all this stuff is going, I implore you, because I love you guys, I want y'all to find rest in him. So spend time with God. Spend time in his presence. And then whenever you come to the storm, you're going to be able to face it. So here's what we're going to do tonight. Usually, we have music in the background. Not going to do this right now. We're going to have some prayer time. Sadly, we're not having nap time. I know, Julian, I know you're tired, sorry. But we're going to have prayer. Thank you. What we're going to do is I'm going to invite you up. If you are struggling, if you've got issues, if you've got things weighing down on you, if you're going through a storm right now, I implore you and ask you to come up in a moment. We come to this altar, it's not magic, it's not a magic thing, but we come so that we can focus on him. We kneel down because we want to say that we are subject to what he's doing and we're in need of him. So I'm going to invite y'all up to come, whatever is going on in your heart, whatever you're struggling with, to lay it down. And I ask for those who are not going to come up, it's okay, there's no pressure to. But don't be talking right now and messing up for others. Come and if you want to stay seated, just stay seated. But we're going to come and pray. So I'm going to start us off, and whenever I say amen, I invite y'all up, okay? Dear God, we come before you. We thank you for today. We thank you for all that you have done. God, there's so much crap going on in our lives. There's literally the world is burning around us and we don't know what always to do. But we want to be sourced by you. We want to be like Jesus, that when the storm comes, we're able to deal with it. We don't run away from it. We don't ignore it. We don't just quit. We want to face it with your strength, not because of our strength, but because of what you can do. So God, tonight we're going to come up and we're going to lay these things the altar. Right now, we're going to come and lay our hurts, our problems, our fire, our story at the altar. So, dear God, move with us. We thank you and praise you. And if you want to come pray, dear God, I thank you. I thank you for every single one of these students. God, I pray for the ones that went up front, and I pray for the ones that are staying seated. Because no matter what, we know we all go through something. We are all going through something. And I want these students to know that they're loved by God that's going to be with them. And for this last week, this last few days before school starts, God, I pray they have an amazing time, a fun time, but I also pray that they are rested and ready for the next step. God, we come before you and ask you. You are so good. Next week, we want your Spirit to fall, not only on this group, but every student that comes next week. Every student that comes, I pray they come in experience. You are a good, loving God, and we see you, we want to experience you. It's in your name we pray. Everyone say, amen. So basically this is a summary, especially for Sean and Jasavi, who I play. Summary is this: find rest in God and balance, both with your body and physicalness. Nap if you need to, have a snack, and be sourced by Him. Spend time with Him this week.